Yeah, I actually have it fairly similarly. I mean, I think the Browns are on my list of sneaky terrible teams for this year because A, it's the Browns, and B, I really don't have
Would it
any
be all that
reason to
sneaky?
suspect. No, well, yeah, I just mean it seems to be like, well, people will say Deshaun Watson year two, but I'm not buying it. I have the Browns in the cellar again, which I doesn't bring me a huge amount of joy because it feels like punching down. But saying that as a Titans fan, that's pretty rough when a Titans fan feels like they're punching down on your team. Um, but I have the Bengals winning as well. A couple of years ago, we had a long conversation before this pod even began about the Bengals being somewhat fortunate in how they got to where they ended up, which was the Super Bowl, turnover luck and so on. I think since then they've got a lot better. The offense is just so good. Like Burrow is obviously brilliant. Chase is brilliant. T. Higgins is brilliant. Tyler Boyd's a very good, dependable option. They brought in Irv Smith Jr., who might, I think, have a pretty good year as the starting tight end in that offense. Whether Mixon's any good is really, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it's more of a nice to have at this point. And they brought in Orlando Brown Jr., who's obviously should solidify the offensive line, which has been a sieve pretty much ever since Burrow got there. I have the Steelers second as well. I have the Ravens third, and I have the Browns fourth. The Ravens, I'll just mention it quickly. You kind of touched on a lot of the same things. I think a lot of the same things. I just don't have them being as bad. I think they have enough to kind of hover around being okay. My main reason is I just can't bank on Lamar Jackson playing every game. He's been injured, as you mentioned, the last 2 years. It's a huge drop off. It's a huge drop. I know Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl, LOL, but it's not the same. This offense requires a fully healthy, dangerous, thrilling Lamar Jackson to be any good whatsoever. I know they brought in Todd Monken as the new offensive coordinator. There was a lot of carping about Greg Roman and how crap he was and holding people back. I remember hearing this with Russell Wilson too, by the way, and that worked out super well. So I just think Lamar's not going to play enough games. I think if he stayed healthy for all 17 games, I'd probably have Baltimore in the playoffs. But I don't think he will. And I don't really think this whole chat about, they added Odell Beckham. It's like, what are we talking about this now? Like, is this really going to make any difference? I like Zay Flowers. I think he's going to be a good pro. I don't really buy why they're going to be much better. I'll quickly touch on the Steelers because
Sure.
I feel like you didn't mention them that much, which is interesting as a fan, but maybe that was intentional because I rambled about Titans for 20 minutes. I think the Steelers will be good this year because the team is very good. How good did the Steelers then go from that point becomes the Kenny Pickett question, which is open, right? But you can't say he's not got the weapons around him. He's got as much help as you could possibly give him. You brought in Allen Robinson, who may or may not be a superstar at this point in his career, but is a very good seasoned NFL pro. Pickens looks like he's going to be great, although if he could ever make a catch where he didn't have to use one fingernail and a tooth to grab it, that would be good. Deontay Johnson's a very good player. I think Najee Harris is going to have a good year despite all of the trash talking around his career being over and all this. I think the Steelers will be good. Defense will be really good again. I have the Steelers in the playoffs. I have the Ravens missing out, and I have the Browns last. But I think it's Cincinnati's division, and I think they win it pretty comfortably come season's end.